Let's talk about a top 50 games of all time list written by, I don't know, let's say 50-year-olds.
Okay, I'm going to go the opposite way, but let's get into it.
Well, okay. People
that don't know anything about video games.
I think like 50-year-olds and 20-year-olds. There's probably like a fine split here.
Someone that searched on the internet other top video game lists and just culled from them.
Yeah, it just seems to be kind of a very mundane list. So Time Magazine has come out with the 50 best video games of all time. Now, no one's ever going to agree on all of these.
Absolutely
but
not.
There just seems to be... It just seems to be some weird choices here.
I want to run down all of them, but I'll just say this. Whenever you see these lists, whether it's Rolling Stones, it's like they go for stuff that they think people want on the list, but then they got to throw in the edgy stuff that no one else wants on it.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's always something like that. They'll pick an album, like, okay, that's one I see. Then one like, what the fuck is that album? Like, where is that from?
Where's that?
So this is kind of, I'm not saying it's the same thing. Let's start. Let's run them down.
Okay,
top 50 of all time.
I will do this, and then we'll discuss quickly. King's Quest III, To Err Is Human.
Never played it. I heard it's a good part of the series.
Dota 2.
A new game that's being played in arenas and on TV. So I figured they said, hell, we're gonna put this game in just because.
Angry Birds. Come on.
Okay,
I mean, it was a sensation. It's fun. I don't know about greatest.
It goes back to the Video Game Hall of Fame conversation about that. About, is it worthy to be on the list? Yes. Does that make it the best game? No.
Worthy and greatest. Guitar Hero.
Get out.
Resident Evil 4, very good game, but like what you're gonna see as we get through this list is so much of this is skewed modern.
Yes, a lot of these games are gonna be. That's why it's so weird that they had to start with an older game, not within the past 15 years with King's Quest 3.
Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. I mean, the Gran Turismo series is great. I mean, I'll give it that. Super Smash Brothers. Okay, I mean, yes, the first one was fantastic. It spawned a new style of fighting game, once again skewed very modern. Call of Duty 2?
I don't remember Call of Duty 2 versus 1, honestly.
And I honestly don't remember it lighting a fucking storm or a fire under anyone's
I'm
ass.
just surprised they would do that and not Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. That's what's surprising to me.
BioShock, really good, but System Shock and System Shock 2.
But I can see why that's on the list.
Sure.
I can see why.
Now, this is one where you and I are going to argue. ESPN NFL 2K5 is the single greatest modern football game ever made.
Well, I'll defer to you because I always hear how great the 2K series was.
This is the best football game ever made in the modern era.
So this is them getting it right.
They got that one fucking spot
Not
on.
just doing a random Madden 2006.
No.
Or
that is...
Was that the last one in the series?
2K it was, and I was so happy to see that on the list. I was like, I can't believe they fucking picked that.
This was the one Rolling Stone decision to get like some Bowie album.
I was like, oh my god. I'm like, that's a deep cut. That's actually right.
All right.
Pong. You picked that because
you felt you had to pick that time. You felt you had to. It's not the best game. It was the first game. It's not the best game.
It's not even the first game, but it's not the best.
Okay, Tennis for Two or fucking Computer Space.
Castlevania, really good game.
I would not. That's not even a top 50 NES game, or barely a top 50 NES game. It's probably not a top 50 NES game.
I would put it in top 50, sure, but you're picking it because you think you have to. Portal 2, very good. Very good. Braid, overhyped piece of trash. Sorry, guys. And you all call me fucking hipsters. I hate Braid. Overhyped piece of trash.
Don't know much about it.
Fallout 3, really good. Gonna piss off a lot of people
50?
because...
All right, Ian, this is a tough one.
Galaga, yes.
Top 50?
Top 50. Galaga, yes. Not even maybe as a Namco fanboy, but not even as a Namco fanboy. I think a lot of people will agree Galaga's top 50.
Okay.
Red Dead Redemption. No.
I've heard very good things about this game.
So
I bought the game. I have it. I still have to play it.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, let's put it this way. If this is on the list, I don't want to see a GTA game on the list because this is GTA in the Old West.
Super Mario Kart.
They chose the first one though. First one is fine. Not the best one in the series. I felt like that was a nostalgic choice. You're gonna do the first one?
Yeah, well,
not Mario Kart.
Let's move on to 32 because we've got the clearly better choice. We don't need Wolfenstein 3D on this list. Doom's on this list. I'm just spoiler alert.
Okay,
Doom's coming up.
Yeah.
Doom's coming up. We don't need Wolfenstein 3D and Doom and everything else that's on this list.
I think Wolfenstein could make a top 200 list, maybe.
Sure.
Or 250. Not top.
We're
50
not wasting a top 50 slot. The Sims. Sure.
Sure, it's in the Video Game Hall of Fame.
Pokemon Red and Blue. Yes.
I'll give you a Pokemon game, even though I'm not a Pokemon guy.
Mist.
You know, I'll give you Mist.
Oh, convoluted fucking mess, but yes,
very important.
It was
more important for the time than fucking. Well, Pong was important for the time, but it led to a lot more than what Pong did at the time.
Donkey Kong.
If you have Galaga on the list, we got to put Donkey Kong on there. But
this fucking pisses me off. Mortal Kombat, and I'll tell you why in a bit.
The first Mortal Kombat is more important than it is a best game of all time. I put 2 on before I put that, but I wouldn't put 2 on the list.
It's not a best game.
No, it's not.
StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. I'll
trust you.
I guess.
I mean, the first StarCraft was great. I thought Warcraft 2 was the pinnacle of that sort of genre at the time.
Halo Combat Evolved.
Okay. I doubt Warcraft 2 is on the list, and I love Warcraft 2.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Okay.
Halo, absolutely not. Get that trash off my list. The first Halo is fucking awful. Next.
We're also getting way too FPS heavy here.
But next, there's
Final Fantasy VII.
There's nothing special about the first Halo. If you want to get nothing special, it's first-person shooter in fucking hallways. It's terrible.
Final Fantasy VII, massively important. A good game.
Okay.
A good game.
I'll allow it.
Microsoft Flight Simulator 10.
You want to pick one that's... I don't know anything about these differences.
That's just... Okay.
It's like the 2K5.
Sure.
Is that the best one? Sure.
Yeah, someone else. GoldenEye 007. Guys.
I'd rather have this on the list than fucking Halo.
Sure.
That's for sure. The first Halo.
It's massively important to many, many people, especially of the console generation.
Doesn't belong in top 50.
No.
Does not belong in top 50.
Diablo 2, fair.
All right, I don't know.
Fair. Zork. Yes.
The text Zork?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
No. You want to put a text game on there?
I'm gonna say Zork. Yes.
All right.
The most important video game of all time, Space Invaders.
That's a deep cut joke.
That's a deep cut joke.
No. If you have Galaga on the list, you can't put Space Invaders on it.
I think Space Invaders is probably deserving. Okay.
Not top 50. This isn't top 50 most important.
This was made as a joke in an archive.
This is where the past 10 years comes from. This list. Rise of the Tomb Raider.
This was last year's game, guys. We haven't had enough time to really put this into context.
What was this 2 years ago? This came out.
Yeah, it hasn't even been released for both systems. The PS4.
Well, you're gonna put this and not the original in.
Yeah.
That's like that's like the opposite of putting the first Halo in and not Halo 4. Right. It's like, what are you doing?
Half-Life 2.
Sure.
Grand Theft Auto 3?
You put the Western version of the game in. You can't have both in.
I feel like you get rid of Red Dead, you keep Grand Theft Auto 3 because it was the first real 3D open world game that made mainstream success.
And was very important and very good. Which a game like Pong, you could argue, probably not Space Invaders.
Counter-Strike, sure.
Really? Okay.
Quake. God, we are so overloaded on first-person shooters.
What's so special about Counter-Strike that's in there? That I think Quake's more important than Counter-Strike.
It was a phenomenon. It was one of the first games it was one of the first heavily team-based online.
So
shooters.
You're looking at phenomenon versus best.
Well,
it's still. I mean,
it held up in reviews. Okay. It held up in critical acclaim.
Okay, Quake. I like Quake. The first real 3D first-person shooters, don't think it belongs on the list.
Okay. SimCity 2000?
If you're going to pick a SimCity, that's a great one to pick.
Sure. Final Fantasy 6.
That and 7? What do you think? Do you get a...
6, I think, is the better game. 7 was the more important one, I think, to a larger audience. It's tough. Sid Meier's Civilization 4. Civ 4, I think, is probably the best, and you need a Civilization
Which one
on the list.
Is one that came out as 5 just came out?
5 was the one, but it was the most recent one. Civ 6.
5 was the one that made it hexagonal, and 4 kept it more traditional.
4 was hexagonal.
Oh, it was? Okay, so 4 was not as good as 5.
I think they're all hexagonal. 4 is better than 5 in my opinion.
They weren't hexagonal until the last one or two. They were all squares.
Oh, okay.
Tiles. But I always hear that 4 was the pinnacle. I think, 6 is coming out? Later this year or last year?
Soon.
Again, another game I can never play. I love 2. I lost a whole summer or two. If 4 is just an upgrade of 2, then I agree.
4 is amazing.
And Civ 2 used to be like PC Gamer's #1 PC game of all time. Like, it was up there.
4 is great. World of Warcraft, never played it. It's obviously popular for a reason.
Sure.
The Oregon Trail.
I know you guys love the Oregon Trail. I love the Oregon Trail.
I love it.
Is it a top 50 game?
I think it deserves to be on there because it's it's the only educational game on there.
Does it deserve top 10?
Maybe not top 10.
Okay.
Maybe lower. And I would
okay.
argue that Carmen Sandiego is a really good one too.
Super Mario Brothers, the first one, absolutely.
Yes.
If you want to put just one on there, put the first
Legend of Zelda,
absolutely. People are gonna say, why is that there, not Ocarina of Time?
Minecraft has its place.
I'm too old.
Yeah.
Minecraft. I'm too old.
Ms. Pac-Man.
Instead of Pac-Man, all right, I'll give it to you.
Yes, it's the better game.
It's the better game. It's the most popular arcade game of all time.
Doom. Yes. No question.
No question. Doom there instead of Wolfenstein, instead of Quake, even instead of fucking Halo.
Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay, so they put that one too. People think that's the best Zelda.
I would
game.
argue swapping that, but
okay. Super Mario 64.
I would also swap them.
So now it's really weird, though. It's really weird. This is how the numbers are working. You have the 64 versions next to each other versus the NES one. That is weird. Tetris at number 1? Absolutely not. Not at number 1.
Not number 1.
I don't know what you put number 1, but it's not Tetris.
I just don't think it's Tetris either.
Sure, it appeals to everyone. Sure, it's the best puzzle game of all time. It fathered the genre, basically. But no, it's not number 1.
Can I tell you what really pisses me off on this list?
Something that's missing?
Mortal Kombat made the fucking list. Street Fighter 2 did not make the fucking list.
Wow.
Who made this fucking list?
I don't know. Is that on here?
How the fuck does Mortal Kombat make the list, but Street Fighter 2 doesn't?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Ian. I don't like saying that, but you're right. I should have thought of that sooner.
You.
No. When I first saw that, back in my head is like, where's Street Fighter 2 going to be? Top 10?
No, dude. I literally scrolled back and forth.
Oh,
like
you
10
cheated.
Times
Okay, I try to keep myself dry on this. Yeah.
To check, and I was like, it's not on here. It's not on here. Also, I'm not counting, but they. Oh, okay. No, never mind. I thought they jumped a number, but yeah, there's no Street Fighter 2 on this list.
Oh, this is by the list of people up front. I'm not going to say their names. I don't want you to go after them on Twitter. But there's like 7 people that put together this list.
And not one of them thought to include Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, and in the first Mortal Kombat, not even like 2, which I think 2 is an awesome game compared to 1.
2 is like the only one I actually really, really like besides like 10. Mortal Kombat X is fun.
Any other glaring omissions off top of your head?
Probably, but I'm just really upset about Street Fighter 2.
I'm kind of upset about Pac-Man not being on the list, but having Space.
I was upset about Pac-Man as well, because, and then I saw Miz.
Because this blended the line between, okay, this game's really important versus this game's the one that is the best. You know, like, there's like Super Mario Kart should not be in the top 50. The Super Nintendo version should not be on here. Hell, you want to put 8 on here instead? Yeah. You know, or even the 64 version instead of the Super Nintendo one. The Super Nintendo one has problems. You know, yes, it started that genre of.
I really like the Super Nintendo one, so I have less of an issue with it.
Okay.
All right. So.
Is that it? Is that we end
that's
the 50 games? Do you want me and Ian to do a top 50 games of all time list? Oh, that's gonna be. We probably would agree on a decent amount.
I think so.
I probably would put others higher than lower, but let us know in the comment section what you think belongs on the list that wasn't there. That's what called comment bait is right there.
Yeah.